Today in Across the Fence, jump on as we meet a professional horseback rider and trainer whose skills impress and awe audiences around the world. Good afternoon and thanks for joining us. I'm Judy Simpson. For the past decade, a combination of education and entertainment has drawn thousands of horse lovers to the annual Everything Equine event at the Champlain Valley Expo. The event also attracts some of the top riding and training talent from all over the globe. In just a moment, we're going to meet one of those professional riders. But first, I want to welcome back to the program one of the founders of Everything Equine and the equine specialist with UVM Extension, Betsy Green. Great to see you again.
Great to be back.
Now, Everything Equine just celebrated 10 years in late April. What do you think has been the key to the success of that event?
Well, the whole thing is based on combining education, experience, shopping, consumer trade show, and our industry partners as well. So from Guy's Farm and Yard, who's been with us from the beginning, to Champlain Valley Expo and UVM Extension, everybody brings great but different pieces to the puzzle, and it makes for an excellent event.
And remind our viewers again just how important the equine industry is to Vermont's economy.
Well, if you think about all of the horses, they're keeping open land. They are bringing clientele and people from out of state to visit Vermont. They're also, you yourself have horses, you know how much you spend on your horses for indirects, from veterinarian to, I don't know if you use massage therapists on your Mini or not.
That would be me.
But feed, grain, fencing, trucks, trailers, all of those costs are supporting other industries in the state as well.
Now, one of the biggest names in horsemanship at the 2013 Everything Equine was on hand, which is really exciting for folks to be able to see.
Yeah, Dan James is, he's making quite a name for himself out doing the Road to the Horse competitions. He was actually the champion on the champion team in 2012, and he recently was, in 2013, came in second to his partner. So, you know, that's pretty good. And he's from Australia. He does a lot of work with Liberty. He does under saddle. And he works on helping folks understand how they can get a better relationship with their horses and have fun with them as well.
I think that's probably one of the things that you learn right off the bat, is that you think you might know a lot about horses, but there's always something new to learn.
Yeah, and the interesting part is that you have to make sure that you work with folks so that they can understand and open their mind to, if you're a dressage person, even though he has a cowboy hat on, he's doing a lot of moves that will help your dressage horse. So using techniques that help any discipline, any breed, any level, to have a safer and more fun ride.
And so how are decisions made to bring these professionals in for Everything Equine?
Well, we look at what we have had in the past, and we try to get across the breeds and disciplines. We try to have somebody that's going to come in and teach people something that they can walk away with and take home and apply to their own situation and make a better situation for their horse, their ride, because and also safety is always one of the keys and parts of my program. So if they're teaching them some of the things that could put somebody that goes home and tries it in danger, that's something that I'm less likely to be thrilled about bringing in.
All right, we have a clip from Dan's DVD, Long Reining Basics. Let's take a look.
Okay.
One of the most trickiest that you can face is when a rein becomes tangled in under a horse. And the most often time this is going to happen is through a change of direction into the fence. So let's just say right here that we've got a reasonable amount of slack, and we're going to try to allow the horse to step over it. So right here, I'm going to throw my rein here underneath to help simulate this situation. I'm going to ask for it to turn. You can see right here that the horse has stepped in and I've got my reins caught under her, and walk on. If this is a horse that can get a little worried and we've started to get her caught up here in the reins, you can see that I've got reins and ropes going everywhere. At this stage here, you don't want to try to pull on your reins. All you're going to do is continue to constrict your horse and get them a little panicked. What you need to do is you need to drop your reins. Okay? If the horse reacts and moves around the round pen, try to look for the opportunity to once again step in a safe place to the inside of the horse's shoulder to take control of the reins. From here, I'm going to make my way up. I'm going to take hold of my horse right behind the bridle. I'm going to bend down and I'm going to try to create some slack onto these reins. Pick up, loosen these reins off and start the process of ungathering the horse out of the knot that they've got themselves into. If you find that you're in a position that is becoming where you're concerned and you're not comfortable, undo your horse's reins from the bit, okay? Get that free, get your reins untangled and start the process all over again.
What that tells me is that this is a good example of what happens when things go wrong, which you usually don't see.
You'd think that someone with that much experience wouldn't get their horse tangled up so much, right? But actually, a lot of times people try and avoid those situations, and I actually liked that he got that horse tangled up like it was a part of a pot holder so that he could actually show what you do calmly to get out of that situation, and you don't often see that.
All right, well, let's take another look at one of his examples again.
In this next exercise from long reining directly from behind our horse, I've made a line in our arena that I'm going to walk along. I'm going to have my horse walk 5 strides off, turn 5 strides back to the line, across the line, 5 strides off, turn 5 strides back. In doing this exercise, what it's going to help you do is be able to manage your reins and become more efficient at using them. You need to stay focused on walking on the direct line that you're on, and also by counting your strides to have the accuracy in your long reining. Okay, walk on. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and turn. Walk on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and back to line. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and turn. Walk on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and turn. Walk on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and turn. Circle at the end. Back to our line.
Well, it's a pleasure to welcome Dan James to Across the Fence. Thanks so much for being with us.
Oh, mate, it's a pleasure to be here. Thanks for having us come in.
Now, we just watched 2 of your videos. Now, what is it that you want folks to see and then incorporate themselves with their horses?
Well, firstly, not fall asleep while they're watching them. And then after that, I mean, part of our program is that Dan and I both specialise in liberty training horses. And that, you know, would include theatrical performances. And what people would see is us as going about working horses in those environments. And what we did is then created a program in which that would not only help people achieve those results after a period of time, but be able to show them that how that kind of work could apply to everyday horsemanship.
You say that period of time. That's an important fact because a lot of these exercises really come down to spending more time with the horse.
Right, it's about spending time with the horse, but, you know, like for example, you know, when it comes down to education, sometimes, you know, to achieve the result that we're looking for in each of those lessons may only take sort of, you know, sometimes literally 5 to 10 minutes. And it's just as important to identify that you achieved the result that you're looking for, stop, reward the horse so that you start to build that foundation, and then, you know, go on with it after that. Because if you just continually, you know, go through the process without that reward, you might spend an hour out there, but, you know, in reality that, you know, 5 to 10 minutes might have been more beneficial.
You talk about a reward. What do you mean by that?
Most often, like, the reward that we'll give to our horses is let them be horses and let them do nothing. Just kind of chill out, soak it in and relax. You know, there's a lot of the time when we're sort of up there rubbing or giving a horse a treat is a lot more for our own sort of personal satisfaction than it really is, you know, respondents to the horse.
So it's just about taking the pressure off and letting them take a rest.
Absolutely, and that's, you know, the greatest things about horses, that they are the master of, you know, body language and understanding, you know, just through our, you know, results of how we approach them and letting them have that rest period.
And so Explain to folks what you mean by liberty work.
Okay, so liberty work is often used as a term that doesn't mean that the horse has any kind of like restraints from bridle, saddle. It could be a halter, a lead, or a whip, anything that's kind of like, you know, sort of seen as being as, you know, cueing, and we would try to refine those cues down. Now, obviously in a lot of situations we, you know, still cueing the horse, but it's kind of like taking the attention off us and more so focused on the horse.
Mm-hmm. And so, how do you get such obedience and control without halters and tack?
Well, because the thing is, it's got to start there.
Yeah.
Like all of our liberty work, and the way in which that Dan and I approach it is that it's like a discipline. It's like a, you know, training a jumping horse or a dressage horse. There's steps and a process in which that we go through to, you know, get to that point. So the way in which that we look at it, it's that it's just a refinement. You know, liberty work on the ground is a refinement of a horse that has gone through, been soft and supple and obedient in the halter and the bridle. Then we've turned them loose. Same as under saddle. You know, to school a horse to be that sort of soft and that without, you know, bridle and saddle on, we firstly need to start there.
Mm-hmm. But what does a person do when they start this work with their horse, this groundwork, and you get the ears pinned back, you get the dragging of the feet, they just don't seem interested?
It's, you know, it's about sort of making it, I guess, interesting and really being the leader. Like when you really step up and become the leader, there's going to be some horses that they're just willing to please. They're just like looking for a job, looking for the next thing that you ask them to do. And you are going to find those horses that either through, you know, bad management from a prior owner, or the horse just might have a chip on his shoulder for whatever other circumstance may have taken part in his life. He's just kind of moved past it. Just, you know, persistence and patience will see you through on that.
Mm-hmm. And so we also have our director, John Melly, is going to roll some more of your show videos so we can take a look at some of the work that you do, and we can talk a little bit about how that is happening. Now, a lot of people wouldn't think that that'd be a good thing to encourage a horse to rear up like that.
Right, there's a lot of people out there that are trying to get their horses to stop doing that before we start. And that is an important piece. Like if we have a horse that is rearing, the first thing is that we've got to actually take that rear away before that we go back and use it.
Mm-hmm. And so tell us a little bit about what people are seeing here.
So what you're seeing here is what we refer to Liberty Roman riding. So there's no bridle, no pads on the horse. They're operating off of my voice cue, and also you can see the one little whip that I do have in my hand. That'll be just to check or to help indicate to a change of direction. For me, that's probably one of the most advanced pieces of Liberty stuff that we do, because I mean, literally those horses are making a choice to stay there underneath me. There's nothing holding them together, so it is a real, you know, special piece to me of what I've been able to achieve with those horses.
And so tell me a little bit about how long it took you to work with these horses to get them to be so confident.
So we look at breaking it down into a couple of time frames. Like you can go through from, say, the first real initial stage that you see, you know, a huge impact on, you know, particularly working in, towards the direction of becoming a Liberty horse is 5 days. Mm-hmm. So a horse that we've like basically never touched or done very little work with, in that first 5 days they'll be working around us with nothing on them. From that point there, you know, we then look at the next 3 months. The next 3 months, you'll have a lot of things happen in that first sort of week to 3 weeks, but then it'll start to take a little time for some of those things to become, you know, consistent, where every time that you ask for that cue that the horse understands and reacts. And then 12 months time later, I'm starting to look at a horse that is, you know, to a point where I would start to really rely and depend on him in a crowded situation or at a big event. So that's kind of the time frame. I mean, you know, we're always continually, you know, training. It doesn't stop. You know, horses are something that you got to eat, breathe, and sleep in order to keep, you know, that high end, you know, work going on with them. And you know, the other part about it is you're always retuning. I mean, the horse goes out there and he'll have a show, and he just kind of works out that he can cheat a little bit one way, dropping a shoulder here or not stopping when he needed to. You've got to be always on that to sort of go back and say, no, look, these are the rules, and you need to stay within these boundaries.
Ever been a horse that you just said, this just isn't going to work out?
Absolutely. I mean, it's about trying to find horses that suit a job at hand. You know, there's no point trying to turn a boxer into a ballerina. Same deal with a horse. If, you know, I wouldn't go out there and probably try to pick a Clydesdale to, you know, go out there and try to perform piaffe. It's really about sort of, you know, having a horse that suits your lifestyle, and that's where so many people unfortunately run into problems with their own horses, is that they don't actually have a horse that, you know, does, you know, fit into their lifestyle.
And it's okay to say, this isn't working out, I need to take a few steps back and figure it out.
Absolutely. It's better to sort of realise, you know, like what it is that you're trying to achieve. Are you happy doing it, or do you need to feel like you need to go and have, you know, 5 rum and cokes to get the courage to get on him before you go out there? So it does come down very much to saying, hey, you know, look, I'm enjoying this. I can go out there and I can ride my horse 2 or 3 times a week, and he's comfortable with that. I don't have to spend, you know, an hour every day with him to be at that point where he's, you know, where I feel safe and confident.
If people would like more information about your work and your shows and so forth, what can they do?
Mate, they can find us on Facebook or at our website, doubledownhorsemanship.com.
All right, well, I want to thank you both for joining us today.
Hey, it's been a pleasure. Thanks very much.
That's our program for today. I'm Judy Simpson. We'll see you again next time on Across the Fence.
For a video copy of today's program, call toll-free 1-888-ATF-3430. Across the Fence is brought to you as a public service by University of Vermont Extension and WCAX-TV.